Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we dig into fascinating topics and try to pull out some really useful insights from different sources. Today, we're looking at something pretty unique. It's this blend of detailed craftsmanship, community building, and honestly, some super bold branding. We're diving into a brand that really built a whole movement. We're calling it Terps, Timing, and Taglines.
That's right. And the source we're digging into today is Real Deal Resin, the solventless wrestling journey, which comes from Nug Notes. It really breaks down how this brand managed to combine, the very specific world of solventless cannabis extraction with the spectacle of pro wrestling.
Yeah, it sounds like a wild mix, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the story, it's actually really compelling when you get into it.
Absolutely. So our mission here isn't just to say what they did, but to explore how. The strategies, the passion, the vision behind it. How did Real Deal Resin build this distinct identity, this loyal following, and basically turn niche interest into something recognized globally? We're looking for those transferable lessons, maybe things you can apply yourself.
Exactly. We want to unpack how they use these three pillars, great terps meaning product quality, smart timing, and these really memorable taglines and stories, how that all came together. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. We're better to start than the origin story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every great brand needs one. And Real Deal Resins definitely sets the scene. It starts with the founders, Dustan, Sam, and Jacob, moving from Pittsburgh, quite industrial, all the way out to Northern California. The Pines, as they say.
That's a huge shift. Pittsburgh to NorCal. What were those early days like?
Well, that's what's fascinating. Dustan went first, then Sam and Jacob followed a few years later. And they didn't just move. They went properly off-grid in Mendocino. Think, like hauling soil by hand, renting small patches of land to grow. It was incredibly hands-on, super grassroots.
Wow.
And it was out of that struggle, that self-reliance, that they eventually found their way to solventless methods. It wasn't some slick startup. It was built on pure sweat and effort.
That really emphasizes the entrepreneurial spirit, doesn't it? And that physical work, that connection to the land.
Totally. That hands-on beginning, living off-grid, hauling soil. It wasn't just about surviving. It fundamentally shaped their approach. You could say it was their first bit of authentic branding, even before they had a brand.
Right. How do you think that experience, that, graft set them apart later on? Did it give them a specific mindset?
I think it absolutely did. It gave them this deep, almost visceral appreciation for the plant itself, for purity, for integrity. They understood that connection soil, environment, and product in a way you probably wouldn't if you just came in with capital. That commitment became foundational.
It makes sense. That hard beginning built a strong base.
Yeah.
So from that rugged start, how did the actual brand, Real Deal Resin, come about?
Well, after those early days, they officially launched in late 2017. The source mentions they actually tried a couple of other brand ideas before, like one called Terp Valley, but they didn't stick.
Okay, so it wasn't an overnight thing. They were finding their feet.
Exactly. And the name itself, Real Deal Resin, is pretty intentional. Apparently it came from a phrase used often by third-gen family farm, real deal. It's like a signal right from the start about authenticity and quality.
A nod to their roots and their standards. And then came the wrestling theme. That's the part that really jumps out.
Oh, yeah. That was the game changer. Jacob was key here, driving the whole visual side, the logos, the merch, the website. Everything was steeped in this wrestling aesthetic. The packaging, the promos. It created this immediate, unforgettable identity. Talk about cutting through the noise in a crowded market.
It's such a bold move, though. Wrestling and high-end cannabis extracts. What were the risks there? I mean, the industry was still fighting for legitimacy.
That's a really good point. The risk was huge, wasn't it? You got an industry trying to look sophisticated, professional, maybe shed old stereotypes, and then you come in embracing the whole theatricality of wrestling. It could have backfired, seemed unserious, but the timing maybe was just right. People were maybe getting tired of these super slick, sterile brands. They wanted something with personality, something authentic, even if it was a bit out there. It let them connect with a specific crowd, build this really loyal base that got the joke, or rather got the passion behind it. It showed that leaning into your unique thing can work.
Okay, so the branding is unique, the origin story is compelling, but at the end of the day, the product itself, the hash, has to deliver, right? Especially with a name like Real Deal. Let's talk about the formula.
Right. The product quality of the terps is non-negotiable for them. Their formula hinges on a few key things. First, soil-grown inputs. They believe that's crucial for the best starting material. Then it's all about low-temperature processing. This is super important for preserving those volatile terpenes and cannabinoids, the things that give resin its flavor and effect.
So keeping it cool preserves the good stuff.
Exactly. It results in that really flavor-rich, potent resin people are looking for. And their sourcing is interesting, too. They use flower they grow themselves in-house, or they source it very carefully from trusted organic cultivators. But no matter where it comes from, it's always processed using solventless methods. Just ice, water, pressure, no chemicals. It's all about purity and capturing the plant's true essence.
That focus on real melt really comes through. It's true craft, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dedication to the process to get something distinctive. That's the core of Solventless.
Precisely. It speaks directly to that tubes pillar we mentioned.
So they've got the craft down. How does that translate into recognition? Have they proven this belt-worthy hash claim out in the real world?
Oh, absolutely. Their track record, especially between, say, 2022 and 2025, is pretty incredible. It's not just one win. It's consistent high performance across a lot of different respected competitions. For instance, they grabbed first-place trophies at the Dabrite Cup and Masters of Rosin in L.A.
Nice. First place is big.
Yeah, and then multiple second-place finishes, like Dabrite Cup, Champions, HashVegas, Smoking Jacket, that was People Choice, the Caribbean Cup down in Colombia, Mother's Cup in Barcelona.
Yeah, Colombia, Barcelona. They're competing internationally, too.
Exactly. And third place at Masters of Rosin in Barcelona again, and the Single Source Cup in Missouri. Plus other strong showings, like fourth at Ego Clash, fifth out of like 70-plus entries at the Culture Cup in Maine.
That's a lot of wins, and all over the place geographically. What does that consistency tell you beyond just good product?
Well, it tells you they're not just hitting a standard. They're consistently hitting a high standard that resonates across different judges, different environments, different tastes. That's hard to do. It gives real teeth to their bold branding and taglines like "Still Undefeated." The awards validate the whole story. They're not just claims anymore.
Right. So for anyone trying to build a brand, is getting that kind of public validation, those awards, just as important as the quality itself?
I'd say it serves a critical strategic purpose. The quality, the terps, that's your entry ticket. You need that foundation. But the consistent wins, that public validation, that's your amplifier. It turns your taglines from boasts into proven facts. It builds trust, attracts new people, and really fires up your existing community. It shows your bold identity has substance.
Okay, so quality is essential. Validation amplifies it. Now, let's shift a bit. Real Deal Resin didn't just sell a product. They built, like you said, a movement. Let's talk about Resin Mania. Sounds like a party.
It's definitely more than just a party. Think of it as strategic community building through experience. It launched in 2023. It's this event series that cleverly mixes art, food, music, dabs, obviously, and lucha libre wrestling. It perfectly embodies their brand.
Lucha Libre. So they actually brought the wrestling theme to life.
They did. And they took it on the road. WrestleMania 2nd was in Mexico City, partnering with local players like Ahumada's Pelican, shows their reach, and they've got WrestleMania 6 planned for October 2025 in SoCal. Brands literally compete for the real deal belt. It makes the community part of the spectacle, part of the story.
That's a really smart way to engage people, make them feel invested. But that wasn't their only community effort, right? What about the Hot Dabs pod? How does a podcast fit in?
The podcast is another smart move. Dustan launched it, sometimes co-hosts with Dr. Darby. It taps into that podcast trend, obviously, but it also extends their narrative, their taglines, into audio. It's this mix of pretty deep weed talk, hash history, hash lore. It educates and entertains. It became a real cult favorite within what the source calls the melt zone, that community really into high-end extracts.
So it's content for the core audience.
Exactly. They bring on respected guests, people like Fran Terpe, Masonic Smoker, Masterball Melt, Fidels, figures known within that scene. It builds this shared knowledge base, connects with the audience on a different level. It's not just about selling. It's about sharing the passion.
The source uses this phrase, meme masters, melt monsters. How did that playful side, the characters, the promos, make hash fun again?
I think that was genius. For so long, cannabis was either underground or trying very hard to be serious, almost clinical sometimes. They just blew that up. They brought in this fun, theatrical energy, the characters, the wrestling references on the product lids, the memes. It created this whole visual language that was instantly recognizable and, well, fun. It made the product less intimidating, more exciting. It wasn't just about the technical specs, the terps. It was about the story, the vibe, the community joke. It tapped into an audience ready for personality.
It really shows how you can build something beyond just the product, doesn't it? It's the whole package, the events, the content, the narrative.
Absolutely. It's a masterclass in building a movement. Which brings us back to our core idea. Terps, timing, and taglines.
Hmm.
Real Deal Resin nailed all three. Exceptional product quality, the Terps. Brilliant timing with their bold identity in a changing market. And unforgettable taglines and storytelling that created a real connection.
Yeah, that unexpected mix, meticulous cold cure hash processing meets theatrical choke slams. That's what set them apart. They built this whole world where craft met culture, creating real melt, real moments, real deal. It's proof that a unique angle, if it's authentic, can really dominate.
And for you, listening and trying to understand how success happens, this is a fantastic case study. It highlights the power of being authentic, sticking to your guns with a strong narrative. In today's world, just being good isn't always enough. You need to be memorable. Their journey shows that if you truly commit to a unique vision, even niche passions can build something big and impactful.
So that brings our deep dive into Real Deal Resin to a close. What a ride, huh? From off-grid farming to global awards, all driven by this wild mix of top-tier cannabis and wrestling culture. It really hammers home the value of being different and strategically using those pillars, terps, timing, and taglines.
And maybe the final thought for you is this. How can your own passions, your own projects, become something bigger? Maybe it involves combining things nobody else has thought to combine. Or maybe it's about just committing fiercely to your unique identity and proving its worth relentlessly. Unexpected fusions backed by real substance can lead to amazing things.
That's a great point. So maybe think about that. What does it really mean for you to step in the ring with your own ideas? What unique combination could you champion? Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive today. We hope you found it insightful, and we'll catch you next time for another exploration.